Thank you, Jenny, for sitting down with me. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
You are the incoming chair of the Plant Breeding Coordinating Committee. We are here in St. Louis, Missouri for the annual meeting of the National Association for Plant Breeding. What do you want people to know about the PBCC? What's that number one thing that people watching this need to know about it?
Well, I think there may be more than one, but I think the first and foremost is that we exist. I think there's a lot of people, as NAPB has grown, that don't really know what the PBCC is or what it does and how it operates. And so I think that there's a few advantages that especially new professors could take a hold of by being part of the organization.
Now, as chair of the PBCC, what is that big thing that you hope to accomplish over the next 12 months? What's your top agenda item?
Okay. Well, circling back to that last question real quick, the PBCC is a formal advisory. We have a formal advisory role with the USDA. And so within that, one of the things that we're really working on and had a meeting just yesterday about was germplasm transitions from old breeders to new breeders, old positions to new positions coming in, what that might look like. And one of the things that we have identified is that there's no best practices across any university or in any university how to actually have a smooth transition. And so we debated good and bad transitions yesterday. And so I think we've identified that some standard operating practices need to be developed. And that's something that I hope to achieve this year.
Now, one of the big themes that comes out of this meeting every year is the challenges faced in the public plant breeding world. And one of the potential solutions or the things we can do to mitigate that is public-private partnerships is something that comes up each year. Is that something that's important to you? And as chair, if so, how do you hope to maybe strengthen some of those partnerships?
That's a really good question. It's not necessarily a high priority for the PBCC right now. But part of the PBCC is all about increasing communication. And so by increasing communication with private industry, that these public breedings programs exist, is one way to help foster stronger public breeding programs. And that's really the whole crux of what we're trying to do is to help increase efficiencies, make these public breeding programs stronger and more sustainable for the future.
And like I say, we're here in St. Louis for the NAPB meeting. Big year for NAPB. It changed its name from the National Association of Plant Breeders to National Association for Plant Breeding. NAPB, of course, is an initiative of the PBCC. The PBCC created the NAPB. Since the NAPB was created, for you, what's the biggest advantage that it's had to the world of plant breeding?
I think that having a place where breeders could come together is just invaluable. So as an agriculture researcher, the Tri-Societies is really the platform that I was always aware of. And by having the NAPB, I'm able to meet people that deal with different I personally deal with 2 crops. And so while I knew everybody in my main crop, my secondary crop, I was able to get really well connected with other individuals. So it's a great place to foster creativity and relationships and help some of these maybe minor crops really get to maybe think outside the box a little bit by taking ideas from other crops or other individuals or other universities. So it's been very fun to attend these meetings and see what other people are doing, and can even spur excitement in certain areas, learning that a disease affects another crop that you're working on and being able to talk to them about the challenges of getting, of breeding for resistance. So there's quite a few different things that I think that plant breeding programs get to take a part of here at the NAPB.
Before I let you go, you mentioned thinking outside the box. That can be difficult sometimes. Sometimes we get set in our ways. We get used to doing things a certain way. And for you and your involvement on a committee like PBCC, and what's the most effective way to get people to think outside the box, to get them to think a little bit differently about something?
I do think differently than a lot of people. And one of the things that's been effective for me is just calling them up and having a phone conversation, planting a seed or an idea and letting them sit on it for a little bit. It's not like you're going to be able to change your mind overnight, but if you can start planting the seeds and laying it out and presenting your ideas in a way that's just, hey, I may not have thought through all the steps on this, but could we do something of this nature? And what that does is it starts a series of conversations that gets you to where you want to be down the road. And so that's sort of how I approach it. I approach it kind of like breeding. It's long-term, thinking ahead. It's not going to happen overnight, but if you start now, then you're more likely to be able to hit that target sooner than if you'd never started or had never asked.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Thank you so much, Jenny, for your time.